I'm doing really good. So you are the head coach at Push. Tell us what that is real quick, and then we'll get into objections.
So PUSH stands for Prospect Until Success Happens, and it's a
Yes.
real estate training program that teaches agents how to use scripts, how to overcome objections, how to prepare for a listing presentation as well, how to pre-qualify, how to put together a pre-listing packet, and then learning the listing presentation soup to nuts.
Well, I like too how you said, like, instead of calling it like scripts, you're calling it now like conversations.
Yes, it's the conversation, the dialogue that you need to have. I think when people hear the word script, they automatically shut down because they view scripts as being so canned and sounding robotic.
Except that they use scripts all the time. And this is why your friends and your family can finish your sentences, because you say the same thing.
Sure.
That is a script.
Yeah, it sure is. Everything we say is typically a script. And so what we need to understand in real estate is telling us what we need to say in order to get the outcome that we want.
Or you can continue saying what you do say now and have the results that you have, which is probably not where you want, right?
Like Dr. Phil says, how's that working for you? If it's not working, you need to change up your script and your dialogue, right? Absolutely.
I know, but people are always like, well, that conversation felt really good. I'm like, yeah, because you talked the entire time. Anyway, let's talk about one of the biggest hurdles besides the mindset around these conversations is objections. What, like you said, what do I say? So I'm going to share my screen, and can you walk us through like your strategies and your program with this mindset?
I'd like to say something as you're pulling up your screen. One thing people need to understand, I'm happy when I get an objection, because for me, it's someone telling me, hey, I'm really interested in working with you. If you can answer my question, if you can overcome this particular issue, then you have a business. So we should be happy that they're giving us objections and not hanging up. It's them telling us, hey, I'm interested in what you have to say. So it's not a negative, it's a positive.
Exactly.
So
that's a perfect mindset shift, because they're like, wait a minute, because they're not going to blindly just like sign something, right? It's like, wait, I have a clarifying point, which makes sense. They should.
They really should. And so I came up with these 5 steps for overcoming objections. And here's the first thing that we don't do well. When we get an objection, we need to smile, right? When we're in front of someone, if we have this look on our face like, what? They lose confidence in us. So we need to practice when we get an objection. The first thing we do is we smile, right? Then we acknowledge it. So
like,
if someone
will you reduce your commission?
Will you reduce your commission? You smile and say, okay, so you want to talk about reducing my commission. Other than commission, is there any other thing that would keep you from working with me? We isolate the objection.
Oh, I love it.
Then
so they're going to say, okay, let's just say that they say yes. Most likely they say no, right? But like they say yes. Then what do you do?
Then I'm going to say, well, what else would keep you from actually working with me?
You re-isolate it.
I want to, and then isolate. I want to know everything so I can really wrap everything up and then get the paperwork signed. Because if I do a great job of overcoming the commission, and then you come back and say, well, there's something else, I need to know that, because I can probably handle both at one time. So it's good to know what the objections are.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I feel like the pushback that I've gotten from some agents is like, when you ask this question and like, or when you say, is there anything else? Or you ask them questions like in the pre-call of like, have you thought about renting it? Have you thought about doing it for sale by owner?
Yes.
They tell me literally, well, am I putting that? I feel like I'm putting that idea into their head.
Absolutely not true. If someone is not thinking about being a for sale by owner, if you say, have you thought about being a for sale by owner? It's not going to make them want to become one. However, you need to know if they're thinking about becoming a for sale by owner, because they may just be using you to get a number, and you don't want to spend hours running comps and presenting if all they want is a number from you. So you have to ask the question so you're prepared. You can't be afraid of the outcome. The outcome is going to be in your favor. You have to ask the questions.
Exactly. Okay. So I like this. So they say, so you want to discuss reducing the commission to 5% or whatever. Okay.
That's correct.
Like commission. Is there any other reason you wouldn't list with me? And they're like,
you would say, no. So when most of my clients talk to me about commission, what they're really asking me and what they're really concerned about is what they put in their pocket at closing. Is that the case with you?
Yep, it
Right.
is.
And then we have to address it. And this is where knowing your numbers is important. So I know what my stats are. So I could say to you as a seller, well, Mr. Seller, my list price to sales price ratio, what I list your home for versus what I sell it for, is 98%. The other agents that are out there, their average is 95%. So just by hiring me, you're going to put 3% more in your pocket. Right. A house is priced at $500,000. That's $15,000 that you're putting in your pocket. So as you can see, by hiring me, it's not about the commission. It's what I'm going to do for you and what you put in your pocket. Correct?
Right.
And I tie it down by saying correct. Right. And then you start agreeing with me and you say correct, right? Yeah. So now all we need to do is hire me so I can get your home listed and get you moved to California by October. I mean, that's what you want, right?
Right. That's it.
Close. That's it.
But why does it seem? Yeah, and for people that want a copy of this, it can be on your website, right?
Yes, I can actually send it to them if they actually want a copy of this.
Perfect. And I'll put it in we have a little vault system too. I'll put it in there.
Perfect.
But okay, so why does this? I'm gonna stop sharing here. Why does this seem so difficult for agents?
So here's why. Number one, we don't practice. We don't practice these objections that come up, right? So when we get hit with them, we don't really know how to respond. And here's the thing, a lot of times people are just told, ask your agent, will they reduce the commission? And a lot of times you can just say, no, any other questions, and you're done, right?
Well, I like to be I ask for a discount at the dollar store, but no, we won't. And do you have any other questions? Right. I appreciate you asking. Thank you. That's awesome. I do it too.
That's awesome.
Do you have any other questions?
You need to know your value though. As agents, if you know your value, it's really easy to say no. And when you truly know your value, it's easy to isolate that objection and overcome it. The issue is we don't know our numbers. We don't practice having these conversations.
We don't have numbers.
or we don't have numbers. And if you don't have numbers, what's your company's numbers?
Right.
May be brand new.
Or your mentor's numbers or something like that.
Your mentor's numbers. Exactly. So you need to know the numbers, whether they're yours, a mentor's, or somebody, or your office numbers. You need to know what they are.
I think so too. The good news is there's only a handful of objections. I mean, there's not even 20. There's 12 or 13. There's just not that many.
And maybe 5 that come up consistently. So it's not that you need to know 20 different objection handlers. Here's what I'll say though, the commission objection that comes up, you may need to know how to handle it 3 different ways, because if the first thing I say doesn't work, I just can't keep repeating myself and hoping you'll change your mind. I have to have a different way to overcome that objection to get you to see that I am worth the 6% that I'm charging. So we need to know 2 or 3 different ways to handle each objection that comes up.
And a lot of times, I like how in isolating the objection, you asked a question and you asked a clarifying question, because I find that just because sometimes people will ask a question, it does not mean you have to answer it.
Very true.
So by asking a clarifying question, you're deciding, is this a legitimate question that they're actually asking, or is this a smokescreen? Because often it is, right?
A lot of times it is.
Yeah. And so you don't even need to handle it. And all you're doing is talking.
We need to ask a lot of questions. And to your point earlier, we do a lot of talking. We need to ask the questions and learn how to be quiet and listen to the response that we're getting.
And I like to, in this, the system that you have set up, is that you tied it back to their motivation. And it's I want to help you do whatever your goal is, whatever your motivation is, whatever it is. And you tied it back to that. So in order to tie it back to that, you actually have to know it.
I love you for saying that. I believe that any listing appointment you go on, you have to pre-qualify. I don't care if it's your mother, your best friend,
100% of the time,
your neighbor.
Right.
And it's pre-qualing to find out motivation, but it's not where are you moving to and how soon do you have to be there. It's where are you moving to? Why is that important to you? What's that move going to do for you? And ultimately, once you're there, how do you feel about being in that new house and in that new location?
Right.
Because logic makes people think, emotion makes people act. And when you understand the logic and the emotions behind it, you can always get the business and overcome the objections.
You totally can, because they feel like you're listening to them, that you understand them, that you're there to help them. And that's how it is, right? Like, you have to care more about them, because there's going to come to a point in the transaction when they are going to fight you. And you're like, look, you told me, is this still important to you? Do you are you still adopting 5 kids? Are you still want to foster dogs, or whatever it is that you want to do, right? Do you still want to move to New York? Like, whatever it is. And they're going to be like, I do. Be like, then we have to do this in order to get you there. And you're going to have to be like passionate about it.
You have to be passionate about it. And it's called the R effect. I don't know if you've heard this before. No. So our job as real estate agents is to make contact and talk to a lot of different people, correct?
Yes.
In order to get contracts.
Yes.
Right. So contact to contract, the difference between those 2 words is the letter R. Oh. The letter R stands for building the relationship, finding out the motivation so that we can speak to what's important to them. It's not about us. No. I'm not here to force you into making a bad decision. I'm here to give you enough information to make the best decision to get to where you're trying to go. Yeah. I need to understand that. So I need to build that relationship.
Exactly. It could also stand for realtor.
It can stand for realtor and resource. We got to be a resource as well, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely correct.
Exactly. So tell us, one of the things about your program that was really fascinating to me was your like role play and mastermind that you have. Can you just tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I think it's really important that we have masterminds and that we role play.
Yeah.
What the saying is, you don't want to go out and practice on your paycheck, which means you shouldn't be practicing scripts on the actual seller.
Right.
We do it here in the safe space where you can make mistakes and get corrected and learn how to master the scripts.
Right.
And so that's what we do. We do high-level role playing with feedback.
Yes.
So that you can actually learn how to present better. Today, I'm doing a listing presentation with an agent, and we're going to get feedback on what you're doing well, start to finish, so that you can secure the listing. And we need that type of high-level role playing in the masterminds, and that's what we do.
Well, yes, and I always say that the role playing it should be the hardest role play of the day. It should be the hardest conversation, because then everything else is easier. And if you're easy on each other, you're doing each other a disservice.
You're doing a disservice, and you're absolutely right. You should hang up with your role play partner and say, every other call that I get is a piece of cake compared to what I just went through.
Try first, set a timer, set a pity party timer for 30 seconds. Be like, he was mean to me, and then move on.
And move on. And there are times people call me to role play, and I'll hang up on them just like an actual for sale by owner or expired, forcing them to call me back and say, hey, we got disconnected, and get right back into the script. It's real play. It's not role play. It's real play.
Exactly. No, that's beautiful. I did do a video on my YouTube channel about the 5 like steps to role play. And that is like one of them. It's like, it has to be real. Like, or else it's not helpful. Perfect practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect.
I so agree with that.
Look, everybody just needs to listen to us, get on the damn phone, prospect, however you do it.
Yes.
If you're not where you want to be, it's because you're not talking to enough people. That's it.
You're not talking to enough people, and you're not saying the right thing. And one thing I'll add to the practice, on your phone, you can get a voice recorder. You should record every call, every for sale by owner preview, every listing presentation. And like football players review the tape, we should be reviewing what we're saying when we're on the phone and in front of people. And we'll easily figure out if we didn't get the listing, why didn't we get it? And typically it's because we fall off script. We stop following the script.
You're right. And if you have like a dialer or whatever, a lot of times there's like a record button on there that you can use. That's really helpful.
It's very helpful, especially if you have a coach or an accountability partner where you can send them that MP3 where they can listen to it. That's how you improve, right?
That's that mirror, man. That is painful. I remember we used to do that, like our whole team, and we would just be like, all right, you're up. And I'd pull it up and I'd be like, dang, there, you know why you didn't get that. And it would be in front of everybody. It's so embarrassing, but those mistakes were never made again.
They were never made again. And you also make less mistakes when you know someone's going to hear it.
Yep.
You stay on script because you know someone's going to evaluate
You're
it, which
right.
causes you to get more business. So it works in both ways.
It does, because I use Vulcan as our dialer, and I will let people listen to me because I can conference them in from anywhere and they can just listen. They just have to be on mute. And you're right. I do so much better. I like push a little bit harder, or like, you know what I mean? Ask like for the 10th time for the business. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. So if anybody wants to listen to me, please let me know, and you can, because I do better.
I may take you up on that. I may take you up on that because you're right. You should be closing minimum of 5 times. And typically we close once, but if we know someone's listening, we're going to close the 2nd, the 3rd, the 5th, and 8th time.
Yeah,
and that's when you get the opportunity.
For me, I want to show off. You know, like look what I can do.
watch me work. Exactly.
That's so fun. I feel like we could talk about this for hours, but these 5 steps of the objection handling, it to me, I mean, I like objections too, but like these are really, it makes it easier to deal with. Otherwise it becomes overwhelming. So it's like, if you have the steps, it's like, okay, smile, like would say, breathe, smile.
Yes.
Yes. Acknowledge, overcome, and then go in for the kill. Those are awesome. What, tell us again the best way to get a hold of you.
My website, davidradneypush.com, is the best way to get a hold of me. Also Instagram, David Radney Push on Instagram. Reach out to me if you have questions, if you want to talk about objection handling. This is what I love. I'm like super passionate about it. I'll talk to anyone.
That's awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Dave. I really appreciate you being on.
I appreciate you.